Hi there, I'm Beth from messymarriage.com with another edition of Sloppy Joe Time. Today I want to talk about how often, especially early on in marriage, couples invite their parents into the marriage, or they just never leave, leave and cleave, the biblical imperative to leave your family of origin, leave your parents, and let your spouse be who you cleave to. I didn't do that. I didn't recognize that that was what I was doing, but I would, anytime my husband and I would have an argument or he would do something I thought was hurtful or unfair, I would go running fast as I could to my mom, faster than I was running to God about these issues. And she was this just lovely, warm place to fall on, and she would see things from my perspective, and she felt like, oh, I was so right to feel the way I was feeling, and it felt so good to receive her comfort and support in those times. And I would walk away from that feeling really close to my mom and feeling like she was in my corner, and I would go back and it would actually have a positive impact where I could talk through something with my husband and we could get it resolved, and there would be maybe an apology on his part and an apology on my part, and I would take responsibility for that. We would really sort through it in a healthy way, and it was partly because of my mom helping me with that. But it was unhealthy in the fact that I was not going back and telling my mom, hey mom, we talked through this, we resolved that, we took responsibility here, and Gary said an apology there. It was never something that she was privy to. She was privy to the ugly stuff, but she was never privy to the responsible and the caring part of that conflict resolution. So she formed this really negative viewpoint of my husband, as well as I did in those victim mentality years. And it created a wedge between her and my husband, and I started to see that, and I really felt like that was unhealthy, and I began to see how her perspective was actually skewing my perspective of my husband, and realized I was not obeying that biblical imperative to leave my family of origin. I had one foot in my marriage and one foot in childhood, really, at that point, because I was running so quickly to my mom, really making her an idol in my life. And so I decided at some point that I was no longer going to run to her with my problems. I would tell her about the good things in my marriage, and I would, of course, ask for her advice on certain things that my husband and I had already worked through, but I no longer relied on her to give me that support and comfort I needed. I looked to the Lord, I looked to friends who could be objective, I looked to my husband to kind of work through those difficult, tension-filled moments with him, and it bonded us closer than ever. And if that's something that you're doing in your life, in your marriage, I would encourage you to really pull back and learn how to have proper boundaries with your mom and your dad. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again for another Sloppy Joe Time.